بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear listeners, viewers, students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope all of you are fine. And today we're going to be talking about unit number 7. Before I begin, I would like you to tell that any one of you have any questions, you can ask me on the chat of the Google, of the YouTube, where you will be watching this today's session. As you're all aware that what we're doing these days is these sessions on the preparatory classes for the coming CAIE, that is Cambridge examinations, which are just starting in October. So this today is session number 7, and the 23rd of September, and we're starting today. Okay, so before I move on, it is important to understand a few things. Today's unit, as you can see here, is a rightly guided caliphs. Rightly guided caliphs is a very important unit, and to some extent, I will not hide that it is a very difficult, not very difficult, but it is a difficult unit as well. So the question is how to tackle this difficult unit. Dear students and dear listeners, or wherever you're listening, it's not difficult. It's not something that you can't do it. Yes, you can do it, right? But you need to manage it in such a way that it becomes easier for you, right? So what I'm gonna do today for that, we're gonna be looking at this unit number 7, inshallah ta'ala. As you can see on the screen, this is the unit number 7, that is the rightly guided caliphs. We move on to the first of all, we know, let me give you before I move on, let me give a quick preview of what this is like. So what this unit is all about. Number one, this unit consists of the caliphs. The caliphs, that is Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, that is Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that is Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. So we have 4 caliphs. First one, Abu Bakr Siddiq. Second, Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab. Third, Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan, and fourth one is Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib. Now, in this unit, we're going to be looking at, the first objective to look at is, which is the most important questions, meaning we're looking for the perfect question. Although I've told you in the first session, but those who missed the first session, this is just another opportunity for you to find that, right? So we're looking for the perfect question for unit number 7. Then we're going to be looking at, like in each of the caliphate, which questions are very important, right? I again remind you, I'm not encouraging you to go for selected study, because I've said many a times, A-star students do not do selected study. We have to prepare, but there are some questions that can't be perfect, 100%, and then so on. We're going to cover that, but we make sure that we are covered from all sides, actually. That's the whole perspective of it. Now, so we were talking about Sayyidina Abu Bakr. We start with Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. This is November 2009. Describe Abu Bakr's activities against the false prophets and apostate tribes. So you can see here that the preference is, the question is about the apostate tribes and the false prophets. Again, I remind you, if any one of you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me in the chat. Okay, so we move on and see what the other question is. In your opinion, what was the most important task that faced Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu on becoming caliph? Briefly discuss. It's a 4 marks question, remember. So you can write down like the false prophets or the activities that he did or the apostate tribes that he dealt with them. But I would suggest that easiest one to do is the compilation of the Quran. So it's easy to write and it's very easy to remember as well. Then the next one is write a detailed account of the battles of Yamama and the compilation of the Quran during the Caliphate of Abu Bakr. Now, if you notice in this question, is actually asked a battle. So what this means is that you got to know about the battles which are being fought in the different caliphs, in the time of the different caliphs. So that's something important, right? And then compilation of the Quran, just talked about it. Then the Prophet called Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, testifier of the truth. How did Abu Bakr live up to his title during his caliphate? My dear students, listeners, this is very important words, during his caliphate. So we're not going to talk about things which were basically not done, or things which were happened in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he has, for us, please excuse for that, we have the examiner has specified to us that which period he is interested in. So this is the Caliphate. Right. Then we move on to Sayyidina Ali. Sayyidina Ali, although he's a 4th Caliph, but I'm discussing here, that's the reason, you'll just find out. November 10. What are the main events of the Caliphate of Ali radiallahu anhu? So what is the question? The events. Yes, the main events. Then why do you think that Muawiyah radiallahu anhu refused to accept Ali radiallahu anhu as a caliph? So this again is a 4 marks question. Let me increase the presentation a little more for you, so it's become easier for you to see. And that'll be better. Now, so the next thing is, which important battles are fought during the Caliphate of Ali radiallahu anhu? Write a descriptive account of each. So which important battles? Now, there's an important thing here. Now, the confusing thing is it's a 10 marks question, right? So if it's a 10 marks question, how do we write about them? So it's important battles, right? We know important battles, Battle of Siffin and Battle of Jamal, right? And write account, descriptive account of it, like how, what happened in the battle. Then Ibn Muljam's murder of Ali radiallahu anhu was unjustified. Discuss giving the reasons for your answer. Now, dear students, in here I would like to take this question as an opportunity to discuss this point. Remember this, that the examiner in terms of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu and in the time of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, there are certain disputes. And the examiner wants to see that do you know the facts on that dispute or not? Or you just going to write stories about it. So you need to have very clear or clarity on these concepts, right? On the facts of the battle. So don't mix up the battle. This is again a very common mistake done in unit number 7, right? So that's the thing. Then now let's see another question. Sayyidina Ali Caliphate was riddled with problems. Describe what these problems were. It looks like a difficult question, but honestly speaking, this is an opportunity. How it is an opportunity? It is an opportunity, is asking what happens. So you just discuss those events, so you make it an order. So once you're logical and it's orderly, right, the examiner, the examiner will not be able to take much points out of you, because you see, you know the fact, you know how they are happening, right? So that's something which really helps in when you're dealing with such questions. Okay, then choose one problem which you have written in the part A and say why you think it was significant. So you're gonna one problem from where? From here. Look, from these problems, we're gonna select one problem and you're gonna write about it and why you think it was significant. What was significant? This problem. Right? So let's move on to the next caliph. Oh, it says Ali radiallahu anhu. Maybe a typing mistake or something. Okay, let's see. Write June 16, write an account of the events that resulted from the opposition of Talha and Zubair. Oh, these are questions of Sayyidina Ali. Oh, so this means we got more questions on Sayyidina Ali then. All right, let's find out. A very important, very famous questions. Again, the examiner is testing out. Do you know the facts or not? June 2016, write an account of the events that resulted from the opposition of Sayyidina Talha and Sayyidina Zubair radiallahu anhuma to Ali radiallahu. Right? So you write about them. Then please do have a look at this question in the past papers. It's an important question, right? And describe the main events of the Caliphate of Sayyidina Ali. This is another main question, very important question. And my suggestion is this, although in Sayyidina Ali's case is not very common, but these events in the Caliphate of Sayyidina Ali, you should prepare it very well. As we say, like, should be perfect. So we got one of the perfect questions we have identified here. Next, okay, June 2009. Explain why Talha and Zubair opposed Ali radiallahu anhu. Right, now if you notice, it's the same question. The answer is the same, but the wordings are different. So the same question was asked in June 2016, write an account of events that resulted from the opposition of Talha and Zubair, and explain why Talha and Zubair opposed Ali radiallahu anhu in 2009. So this is, again, opposition by Talha and Zubair Ridwanullah Ajma'in. Ali radiallahu anhu was the right ruler for the time. Briefly discuss this statement. There's no doubt about it, right? So do support your answer with the reasons. Have a look at it because you cannot drag this answer. This is something important. You cannot drag the answer more, and so you need to have facts. It's a 4 marks question, so do have a look at this question in the past papers as well. Then explain, why do you think Muawiyah radiallahu anhu refused to step down from the governorship at Ali radiallahu anhu's request? Interesting. It's a 4 marks question. So again, your reasons are very important. Your dragging up or stories are not important at all, right? So that's about Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Now we're going to move on. Let me see if any one of you have got any questions on there. Abu Zar says this question won't come as it came this year. Battle of Siffin came, not this one. Okay, Abdul Rahman says where there is please don't start your discussions on there. My suggestion is that focus on what's been discussed. Now, the questions been asked is that the questions will not come because it came last year. My suggestion is whatever came last year, please prepare that first. There is, I know it's not something common, but it's not uncommon as well, right? So the examiner has all rights to give that question again, and we know that they gave the question again, and so don't get into this fuss, that this prayer Siffin is. What if he gives 2 battles? What are you going to do then? Right? Like we just saw the question on Sayyidina Ali. Where is that? Yeah. Describe the 2 battles. Like I think it was in the previous slide. Yeah. So that's something. Again, is gonna. I will not agree to that, and I will not encourage any one of you to go on those lines. Anyway, moving on to caliphs. Like now, this slide what I'm going to show you, this is actually the examiner is using, because we know that there are four main caliphs there. So there should be, you just what we saw is Sayyidina Ali, the question on Sayyidina Abu Bakr, question on Sayyidina Ali, question on Sayyidina Umar or Sayyidina Uthman. Now, what we going to see here, the examiner going to combine Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar. The examiner going to combine Sayyidina Abu Bakr or Uthman and Umar. The examiner is going to combine Sayyidina Ali, Sayyidina Uthman and Abu Bakr. Right. So this is a trick, you can call it, or to test you again, but it's very simple. Let's look at them. If you go logically, it's very easy to attempt this question. Briefly describe the main events of the caliphates of any of the 2 rightly guided caliphs given below. This is Abu Bakr Siddiq, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Usman. So you see, he joined the first 3. But what he's asking, any 2, right? And what main event? This is a difficult question. So my suggestion would be, if that question comes in, avoid Sayyidina Umar, because Sayyidina Umar's events are a little longer, and if you attempt Sayyidina Usman and Sayyidina Abu Bakr's, it's manageable and you can do that. But I'm not saying that ignore or do not learn the events of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu's caliphate. Next question. Write a description account of the important events that took place in the caliphate of any of the 2 of the 4 rightly guided caliphs. Piece of cake, right? So if you've done all four and whichever is the best for you, just do the two. That's it. So my dua is you may get this question, right? This is the best question to do, right? But for that, you need to know the events that happen in all the four caliphs. Briefly straight, why any one event you have written about in part A was of special significance. So he is now talking about state one event. So you're going to identify a one event and you're going to say special significance, right? For example, compilation of the Quran. Again, it's very easy to write. Or we can write about the event of Battle of Siffin as well. We can write about Battle of Yamama as well. You know, there are lots of events there. So you got a lot of choice and you can just need to pick one. Then we move on to November 3A, write about the how the four Itigari caliphs are role models for the leaders today. Very important question. Please do look at the past papers for that because you can't write stories on there. This needs to have facts and supported by examples. And so these should be. All right, we got some questions there. Uh, mm, all right, Abu Zar is adamant that, what do you call it? We should not. That's up to you, Abu. But my suggestion is always prepare. Like if you are saying that, okay, final stage, prepare or do those questions which came last year. Right. And as I said, A star students don't do selective study. As an A star student, you got to be on your toes and you should know everything. Right. Then, write an account of the Battle of Yamama fought during the Caliphate of Abu Bakr and the Battle of Camel fought during the Caliphate of Ali radiallahu anhu. So if you notice, this question came twice, came before and here. So three battles so far, we know Battle of Yamama, Battle of Siffin, Battle of Jamal or Battle of Camel are important. So make sure you know the facts, you know how to do it, you know how to attempt it, even as a 5 marks question. Then the obvious question is there is no 5 marks question. So why are you asking it? Reason is because if you look at here, it's 10. So Battle of Camel is 5 marks question, and the Battle of Yamama is a 5 marks question. So it's 10. 5 plus 5 makes it 10. Next one. Which of these two battles uh, Which of these two battles was, in your opinion, the more significant? So just select one, whichever you know best, just write about it. And what are you writing about? Significance. Please understand the question, right? So have a quick look at the, and also with that question, it gives you an opportunity how to write a 5 marks question on a battle, right? Anyone has any question regarding the battles, please type in your comments, your questions in the comments in YouTube. Okay, we move on to the next level. And so this was about the caliph. So these are the questions which came and they're combining things and all that. Then Sayyidina Umar radiallahu traced the expansion of the Islamic Empire under the rule of Caliph Umar. Right. So trace the expansion. So the expansion is in Umar's time. The question: what does the way he died tell us about the character? So you're talking about Sayyidina Umar's Shahada here. So importance of Sayyidina Umar's Shahada. This is the answer. Then how does Umar's radiallahu anhu's conduct at the surrender of Jerusalem set an example for Muslims? Very important questions. Please do look at the past papers on this question and the mark scheme. Like how does Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, because here, again, you can get stuck in writing the answer because it's a story, it's an event, right? So when you're writing about an event, you may lose the time and also the number of words that you have to write here. So that's something is very important. All right. Just looking at the questions. All right. So let's move on to the next level. That is, Sayyidina Umar's caliphate is regarded as the golden era in Islamic history and write an account on how Umar ruled during the 10 years caliphate. Right. So this is Sayyidina Umar's caliphate as a golden era. That's what we're talking about, and write an account how Umar ruled during the year of his. So if you notice, this is another on the expansion or the caliphate of Sayyidina Umar. Radiallahu ta'ala. Then why do you think Omar's greatest achievement during his rules? So you see, instantly he's talking about the achievement. Achievement is what? With reference to expansion, and explain why do you think so. So the greatest achievement during Sayyidina Omar's time is number one. It can be that question on Jerusalem that I asked you to, this one, November 12, 3b, and June 15, 3b. Have a look at it, and this is an interesting because you will find 3 or 4 different views on that, like this answer can be solved using that. Right, so we move on now to the next one, that is the next question is June 17, 3a. Umar radiallahu anhu made several administrative reforms. Administrative reforms, straight away the answer is administration of Sayyidina Umar during his 10 years caliphate. Write an account. Now, here we go. Look, understand it carefully. You know, now we know the answer is from administration of Sayyidina Umar. The account of, write an account of at least five what? Administrative reforms. So write about 5 administrative reforms and say how these reforms help make his rule so admirable. Right. So you talk about those administrative measures that Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala took, and make them as the greatest achievement in the caliphate. Which, in your opinion, was Umar's radiallahu anhu's greatest quality as a caliph? Give reasons for your choice. Right. So please do not write about anger is not a qualities, and this is a misconception. Inshallah ta'ala, although in those who have studied with me, I have dealt in the classroom as well, that many people portray Sayyidina Umar as an angry person. Sayyidina Umar was, yes, he was known for that, but it is something else. Inshallah, we'll have a video on that, and when we are talking about Islamic community, I'll link that to Sayyidina Umar as a personality, and to the caliphate as well. He was no doubt about it very strict on that. So these are the questions of Sayyidina Umar. I want you to have a quick look at those questions. I will make it a little bigger for you as well so that you can see. And if you have any question, you can ask them on the YouTube chat. So I give you around 30 seconds or a minute to look at it and ask me any questions. All right, we have from Ubaid. Ubaid is saying that 3B. Ubaid, could you specify which 3B, which year you're talking about? Yes, Ubaid. Just mention the year, please. Can we write about Hijri calendar? Oh, you mean the main accomplishment of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu? Sorry, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu? Yes, you can. You can. Hijri calendar is a great contribution, and the credit goes to Sahaba Kiram and particularly Sayyidina Umar. So, yes, we can. We can talk about that. Thank you very much. Very good point raised by Obed. May Allah bless you and give barakah in your efforts. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to be looking at is the Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu's caliphate. So let's look at the first one. What are the major events took place during the caliphate of Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu? So again, you see, is the major events it's talking about. So which major event took place and is talking about that? Then explain why Uthman radiallahu anhu encountered difficulties in the later years of his caliphate and was assassinated. So here we also talk about the difficulties that were faced by Sayyidina Osman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Any one of you have, again, I've been saying again and again because it's a very important unit. And if you have any questions, you can ask me those questions in the chat. And afterwards, those of you who will be seeing this video, if you still have any questions, as you can see in the scroll, the text that is scrolling in the video, you can see my email. You can contact me at ustaz.waqar@gmail.com, which is on top of the screen as well. And also, you can WhatsApp me on the number which is given there. Now, so we are discussing Sayyidina Osman bin Affan radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So my suggestion is that please make sure that you are aware of those difficulties which were being faced by Sayyidina Osman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the main events and the difficulties faced by Sayyidina Osman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So let's move on and look at the other question. What were the consequences of Sayyidina Osman's murder? Right. So again, I would like you to look at this, look at the past papers and the marking scheme for this. What were the consequences of Sayyidina Osman? Because it's not a very straightforward question. It's a little analytical in nature, although. So please look at this question in the past papers. Outline the charges leveled against Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu by his opponents. It's not this, there's a mistake here, it's his opponents, and describe the main events of the revolts against him. Right. So first is, so it's basically 5 plus 5, right? So the charges leveled against Sayyidina Osman, and then the main events that led to the revolt of Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. Again, it's a 10 marks question, a tricky question. I would like that go have a look at the past papers and the marking scheme. What do you think was the most harmful outcome of Sayyidina Osman's assassination? And so again, you could write various reasons on that and make sure it's very structured, right? and write in detail about the policy followed by Osman radiallahu anhu as caliph in expanding, maintaining the state. So this again, the policy that Sayyidina Osman bin Affan followed in expanding and maintaining the state. So this is something important. And then, how justified was the criticism against Uthman radiallahu anhu for burning the copies of the Quran, the Jami al Quran, right? So we know that the note on Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu as Jami al Quran is going to be mentioned. Make sure you know that question. And this is again a very critical, and that was a great contribution by Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. The as well as in Cambridge, this is an important aspect I would like you to mention. It's easy to mention and to describe why he did that, right? And like justifying this, that okay, this was this. And if you criticize Sayyidina Osman's, what do you call it, efforts or why he did that, then you can also do that and they consider that. But my suggestion is it's not that easy. If you fail to do that, and the reasons are not very strong, you may lose the marks. So the best thing is, the best policy is to know why Sayyidina Osman did it, right? So so this is something which is important to look at. Okay, then we're moving onwards to, so that's all we have in terms of the questions so far. Now I move on towards the next step, that is the work that I want you to do, and that is on the Saturday of the 25th of September that I expect this work to be, and we're going to have a writing work, inshallah ta'ala. If you have any questions or something, you solve the solutions and send it to me at ustazwaqar@gmail.com. And those who are registered to this course, please, we got a Google Classroom. You can register, upload your work there, and and in one PDF. Please don't send me images. Send me one PDF. Now, what's the work? Events in the Caliphate of Sayyidina Ali, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Uthman. So what I'm talking about, events in the Caliphate. So if you notice, we have reached a point where we have found our perfect questions. So these four questions are the perfect questions in here, that events in the Caliphate of Sayyidina Ali, events in the Caliphate of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, events in the Caliphate of Sayyidina Umar, and Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan radiallahu ta'ala. Any one of you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And also, if you, let me see if there are any questions or something. Okay, we got an interesting debate started June 15, 3B, and he says Hijri calendar how? And then Hijri calendar is one of the achievements. There's no doubt about it. The Hijri calendar is an accomplishment of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu. I've already said that. And Mr. Ayan has joined us. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. All right. So, so this is the work which I would like you to do. And today we had the session uh, on the caliphs, that is unit number 7. So this was our activity today, and our today's lesson was about the caliphs. Any one of you have any questions, you, as I said to you, you can write it to me, at ustaz.waqar@gmail.com, which is underneath, or you can WhatsApp me at the number mentioned below. Take good care of yourself, and inshallah ta'ala, will be we may have another session. I'm planning, inshallah ta'ala, maybe on Saturday. I will announce I want you all to solve one paper for me and then send that paper to me, whole paper in one PDF file, and preferably in the Google Classroom. Those who are registered, right? And those who are, I won't say they're lazy, but they are not very much, what do you call it, in coherence with our sessions and all that, you can send it to me as an email. Right? Take good care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.